The robot that we're providing is nothing without all the accessories around it. It's just an arm that is moving either work pieces or tools from A to B. But it's with our partners that are doing clamping mechanisms, welding guns, whatever you need for your process around our robot, as well as tools to hold work pieces and all these kind of things. And so this is an entire world, an entire ecosystem that has already been established in a hardware sense. And now we need to do just the same in a software sense as well.
Welcome to FNet Silica's We Talk IoT. We'll chat with innovators, experts, and business owners to learn how they are implementing IoT and using data to create new business opportunities. I am your host, Stephanie Ruth Haydock. Industry 4.0 is a phrase that has been around for over a decade. Yet we are still waiting for the promised industrial revolution. Our guests today are Andreas Frank and Dr. Christian Liedtke from KUKA, and we discuss why it is essential for companies to open their ecosystems, even their shop floors. Traditional business models need to change to make industrial IoT fly. Solutions need to be interoperable. But why is digitization still such a struggle for companies? The secret sauce to IoT success? Alliances. KUKA is a global supplier of intelligent automation solutions, from robots and cells to fully automated systems and their networking. Thank you for joining me, Andreas and Christian. You both work for KUKA. You are the guys with the cool orange robotic arms, which is, of course, a huge simplification of things, I know. Why don't you quickly introduce yourselves?
My name is Andreas Frank. I'm the head of the KUKA IIoT business. And this position is located in the Department of Digital Services. Our topic is we are the link between our research, development, portfolio management towards the market, towards the customers, to get in feedback, to have an ear into the market, and to give feedback. What are the needs? What are the trends, and so on, and also to make sure that the products are developed in the right direction.
I'm actually managing our strategic alliances. This means partnerships and alliances that we do, especially for topics like Industry 4.0, for new inventions and those kind of things. So that means we are teaming up with other companies in associations and so on. And that is my task to manage that.
So what would you say is the most exciting thing in automation right now? Christian, you just said digitization is the field of work that you mostly focus on. What is the hot thing?
Well, I would say automation is becoming a commodity. I mean, we started the robot business like in the 1970s to really take off. Automation was brand new. That was the third industrial revolution at this time. If you look at it from nowadays, the robot itself hasn't changed so much. I mean, it's still moving in 6 axis. Yes, the way it is controlled is a little bit different. It's faster and so on, but it's still the same kind of machine. But now it is used everywhere. And the Corona time, all the challenges that we had in the last couple of years, they really enhance this entire business of automation, since we see that we need to get a little bit more independent of workers who might turn out to be sick for a day or something like this. Robots are used in fields like the private sector, for example. More and more people have automated lawnmowers and those kind of things. So that is really the field of automation that is really changing our life.
Yeah, you just mentioned that your industries and your clients have changed in the past as well. Like I know, for example, KUKA robotic arms from automotive clients. I've seen those pictures and the robotic arms live. What has changed? What new industries are you now serving?
Of course, the GI business, the general industry, is you have a lot of customer groups there, starting from small, let's say, craftsmen that doing something in their workshops, to a little bigger companies. So I think all these now have a high interest and will have an interest in the future also for robots as a support in their production, in their daily work. So I think this changed, but there's still a field where where, of course, not everybody is on the same level today. This will also develop over the next years.
And it's not just the amount of robots that is being used in different fields and what kind of fields are actually used. So just to give you one strange example, KUKA robots are now used to build homes. So we have a project where we build modular homes to actually keep track with the increasing population and how should you do affordable homing for them. So this is something that could be automated to save money and to make it affordable. But it is also the use of the robot that has changed. And this is actually what brings us then to digitization, because using a robot is just one thing, but you have to integrate it in an intelligent and applicable way into your production. And that can be done now, since we are talking about Industry 4.0 since 11 years, that can be done in a different way today. And companies are utilizing that more and more.
Interesting. I read an interview with you, Christian, where it mentioned that digitization is not having very big effects on Industry 4.0 yet. Can you explain the reasons why that is?
Well, yes, that's actually a really good question, because this is why we are struggling since the last 11 years in that topic. I mean, digitization is a little bit older than when it was proclaimed at the Hannover Fair, actually in 2011. The topic has been around since the 1970s. Some of your podcast listeners may know computer integrated manufacturing. I mean, this is one of the basic ideas of what we are doing right now. But the point why we are struggling is that we still try to utilize existing old-fashioned business models. Not that these business models are bad, but it's about gaining competitive advantage. It's how do we bind customers exclusively to us? And this simply doesn't work in the field of Industry 4.0, because Industry 4.0 is about data usage between different processes, between different machines. And that means every company needs to open up. It's not about binding a customer exclusively to you. It's more about how can we exchange data with others to gain customer benefit. That's what it's all about. And of course, companies don't always have the customer benefit in mind. They have their own benefit in mind. Of course, they want to earn a lot of money with it. But this only goes through adoption of the customers, and therefore we need to open up. And that's something that most companies really struggle to learn. And I mean, also KUKA did a lot of mistakes in that. We started with the old-fashioned business models in the beginning.
By using the data or the industrial Internet of Things, connection, vision, whatever, it means also the business model, the way of doing business also needs to be redesigned. There needs to be a new thinking also in that direction. I think Christian mentioned it. It's not about just helping an old business model changing one part of that whole thing. I think the business model has to change. The way of going to the market, the way of acting by using this new world. I think this is also a big part of the change, that every company that wants to be part of that also has to think about. I think that's also my opinion, a big part of the story. Cannot continue the business as you did for 20, 25 years. Things then also has to change also in that area.
I think Andreas made a very good point with that. If you just think of those new kind of business models, they are already invented for quite some time. Just think of Google. They're still offering all their services for free. Of course, they do a lot of money with commercials and so on, but it's simply a different kind of business model. If I want to have an information, it's in our words, you Google it, and it's a totally free service. And the same is true, of course, for other things as well. And even for our business, this means maybe that we have to give away our information for free, but in returns, we will earn our money with this in a different way. In KUKA sense, it's probably not going to be marketing, but whether we can design new services on top of it or so, that's the question for the future. But as Andreas just said, we have to change our business models, and that means really a radical, disruptive way of thinking. Over time, we changed our view, and we accepted that we have to work together with others.
Can you give an example?
I could tell you so many examples about how you have to bring data usage together. Just to make it simple, I mean, if you make a machine in your production faster by digitization, this is a great thing. But if you don't change the environment, it just means that the other machines cannot keep up. And so you, in the end, you gain nothing. So that's why we actually need to have these interoperable systems exchanging data to turn things through better.
So, and this is the reason why you joined the Open Industry 4.0 Alliance?
Yes, it's one of the reasons, and we didn't just join it. We actually founded it like 3 years ago together with SAP and together with a couple of other partners, and we've been driving this alliance since then. And yes, this is one of the basic ideas. It's really about how do we make software solutions of different companies interoperable to serve customer benefit. And I wouldn't say this is always regardless of your own benefits, but customer benefit comes first here. And I mean, joining such an alliance is just one thing. It's about talking. It's about having guidelines, reference architectures, and those kind of things. But you have to implement it in your own kind of business. And KUKA has been doing this. We offer solutions, and actually Andreas is the expert for that, who actually enable that, who enable this customer benefit via interoperability.
Do you have an example or a figure how you could measure this benefit, or do you have a use case you could talk about, Andreas?
For example, we have our iKUKA ecosystem. So by connecting our friend with the 6 arms with a tool, which is very important for our customers. So this is what we call an ecosystem, and in that area, the interaction and the exchange of data, cooperating, working together, bringing these things together, bringing these worlds together is just one small part as an example of this, for example.
And are other manufacturers and solutions providers are joining this initiative too, or are you just starting to talk to them?
Well, so far we have more than 100 members in our alliance. So one could really say, yes, there are a lot of companies who have established this in their way of thinking. But of course, there are still many companies out there who refer to, as I would say, the traditional business models. And that's something that we have to break up. I mean, we as a large provider of industrial equipment, we have to bring in our friends and family and convince them of working in a different way. But also we as a customer have to do this. We have to demand from others, hey, there's a new way of thinking. It's in the beginning, everybody was thinking about, I can earn a lot of money out of the data that is generated by my customer. And I mean, this is a crazy thing in itself. But this data really has no price tag on it. It's just if you combine it with other things that it will get some meaning, some certain sense. And we are seeing this in the business. And actually, this is something that is really not new to KUKA. I mean, the robot that we're providing is nothing without all the accessories around it. It's just an arm that is moving either work pieces or tools from A to B. But it's with our partners that are doing clamping mechanisms, welding guns, whatever you need for your process around our robot, as well as tools to hold work pieces and all these kind of things. And so this is an entire world, an entire ecosystem that has already been established in a hardware sense. And now we need to do just the same in a software sense as well.
Now, this is really interesting because this means that the secret sauce to IoT or Industry 4.0 success, to use this analogy, would be alliances, right?
That's definitely one way to go, I would say. Can also describe it with buzzwords like open platforms and so on. So this is the way for, let's say, maximum success. But as Christian said, I think there's still a barrier in the market, and actually we are facing this internally also at some points. But there's a kind of old-fashioned mindset still existing. And as this Christian described, old way of business, a new way of business, and this sometimes is not easy to break up these kind of barriers and old thinkings. So, and that's why I think the way and the target in the future is clear, but the way there is some hard learnings for each company and for each participant in these platforms with this idea. But bringing this idea to life, that's a different story.
This podcast is brought to you by FNet Silica, the engineers of evolution. If you want to learn more about us, we have put information and links in this episode's show notes, and you can also connect with us on LinkedIn or avnet-silica.com. That's avnet-silica.com. Why is it so hard? Is it the fear of the loss of revenue or the fear of losing competence or being interexchangeable by any other company? What's behind this, you think?
You need to open up your solutions. That's a dangerous thing because someone else can use your data, your insights, to do something marvelous that you might not have achieved or so. So of course it's about protectionism at this point. But in the end, it's the only way to actually get Industry 4.0 going. I mean, if you think of a shop floor, you have let's say 50 or 100 machines in your shop floor, all from different vendors. Who is really expecting that this poor head of production is acquiring software systems from 50 different vendors to run his equipment better? And this only means that he runs his individual equipment better, but not overall. So, I mean, it's a logical thing that we have to open up, that we have to make solutions interoperable. That means you need standard protocols to exchange data and so on. And that also means that you cannot provide the whole stack. You have to have solutions that are open to process data for yourself, but also to provide this data for other systems.
So are you practicing what you're preaching?
So, for example, our KUKA solutions, there are numbers of them. They are all open. They all provide information into other systems. We've established this partnership with SAP, for example, because in the end, 95% or so of the European users will have an ERP system which is called SAP. So at some point, of course, you would like to have all this information from your different machines, no matter what kind of make it is, in your ERP system. So therefore, we have to provide this data to someone else. That means opening up. If you are enclosed, it will not work. And if we are talking about our IIoT, for example, which is a system that gives you deeper insights on the robot, for itself, it would be useless. But if it provides those information for your MES system, for your ERP system, for your maintenance system, or whatever it is, it becomes a really valuable asset. And of course, we are providing that in order to enhance this new world.
So basically, the heart of the SAP alliance is opening KUKA systems so that data will flow into SAP systems to make it manageable and to use it for their systems, right? Or is there more behind this?
So we have to differentiate between those two initiatives. I mean, one thing is actually the Open Industry 4.0 Alliance that we funded in 2019 together with SAP, but other partners. And this is not an SAP initiative. It's we have many more big companies like Microsoft or Siemens also in there. So SAP is just one of our 100 members. On the other hand, we have a strategic alliance with SAP together, where we try to tackle the market together, and especially the automotive market. And that's something that we are driving together. I mean, I cannot mention the customers, but we're talking about the large automotive OEMs where we have a joint approach of reaching out to them. So we have an SAP system as ERP layer in there, but also connecting information. And to automotive customers, it's always most interesting to get information of robots because they have thousands of robots standing around. And that's where Andreas is then bringing in tools like IIoT or like our expert system, which is a tool where you can, if you have any kind of issue with your robot, you can easily find out what it actually is, how you can solve it. I mean, we have like 15 years or so of maintenance knowledge put into such a system. And this is an interesting point. How can you actually bring this together with other equipment and somehow consolidate information in a layer? And that's done by someone else. That's not done by a KUKA system. KUKA is just providing those information.
the vision is we need these kind of open, call it open platforms, because then the value for the customer is on the highest possible level in the future, I think. And each service that we provide, of course, also has bring value to the customer. I think very important is always the customer view. You need to understand what is the pain points, what problems you can solve, and what problems you can even solve when you open your own tools and combining it with other things that are in the market. So and then automatically you have the scaling effects within this whole segment of IIoT business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is very fascinating because now we are, I think, mostly talking about also companies that already have experience with automation processes. What is the biggest mistake, in your opinion, a company that has not started with IoT or Industry 4.0 yet? What is the biggest mistake?
First of all, not to start with it. Many companies tried pilot projects also on. They started something, and the benefits were not as they appeared to be. I mean, we had big professors, consultants, and so on telling us that you can gain 30% of efficiency or 50% of efficiency. I mean, they were always bringing it to the climax by Industry 4.0. And it never turned out this way in the production shop floor. And it's not that they were wrong. It's just you have to really listen closely what they say, because the real potential is not in one machine. It's rather in the way an entire value chain is organized. Like I said in my very first example, if you have a machine that is running faster and the rest is not harmonized to it, it doesn't bring you any benefit in the end, because just this one machine is producing faster, but the next machine is having too many parts to handle, and the process before is too slow to feed this machine. So you have to harmonize the processes. And if you do a pilot project, what companies usually do is that they just optimize one tiny process because they want to be careful, and it doesn't turn out to be the big picture thing. And that's what you should look for. And coming back to your question, I mean, what is a piece of advice that you could give to customers? Don't start digitizing your entire shop floor. I mean, and contrary to what I just said, because this is going to be too heavy, but start with an experienced partner that helps you with an individual process with a clear view of taking this to the next level and to the next level and again and again. But start small in baby steps, and don't look for the great results with the very first thing, but it's really a thing of patience. And if you have a partner who's experienced in that, who has tools to it, who has all these open interfaces to other systems, then this entire process will be successful.
Patience would be also my word that I wanted to highlight, because it will be a learning curve, and you will make experiences that maybe not lead to the immediate return on invest or whatever. But you need to have a kind of also maybe just call it visionary in your company. You need to understand that it is a path you have to follow, and not an 100% short-term high level target that I want to achieve within 6 months. This is something I think also needs to be clear. As Christian said, start with baby steps, understand what that impact that has on the next thing around the first piece you touched, and then you will understand the things that need to work together.
That's the same with every digital transformation project, isn't it? You aim for the big marketing goals, and then your dreams are shattered by the tiny progresses you actually make, without realizing then that those would actually be the steps that lead you to the big success. But then people are not patient enough, and they run out of money and time. And what is a common myth about your job or your field of expertise that you would like to clarify?
Industry 4.0 story is already developed. I think this whole industry is still in a learning curve, and with these communities like Catena-X, like Open Industry 4.0, I think now the words start to grow together. So it's even for a company like KUKA, it's not that we have the final 100% vision. I think that's also part of the story. Yeah.
What is a myth about Industry 4.0? I think it is simply everybody was expecting a revolution because it was called the fourth industrial revolution. And a revolution is something that happens at an instant and should be over in, let's say, a couple of days and everything is fine. And this is an process. It's a process that takes for some time. And, in the beginning, we've been talking about the third industrial revolution, the automation. It's still going on. I mean, just remember when you saw the first robots in science fiction movies and TV, that was long before any one of us here was born. And still, robots are not everywhere in our environment. Like Andreas said in the beginning, there are so many fields where people are still hesitant to use robots in their everyday life. So the example Andreas brought with a burger chain where a robot is handing you the robot, people are careful about that. And this is, although we have been in this robot business for, 50, 60 years since we first talked about robots. And I'm not talking about industrial robots here. So we still haven't utilized this in every field. The same is true for digitization. It's something that is starting and it is working fine in different fields. But people are still very careful. I mean, they're careful about sharing inside information about what their companies are doing and so on. And the same is true for every kind of application in the industrial field. New generations have to come in. For them, things are simply logical. And for others, it's something they have to get used to. So over time, things will change and not really in a revolutionary approach at an instance.
Christian, Andreas, thank you so much for sharing your insights and sharing your expertise. It was great having you on the show, and I hope we speak again soon. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
This was Avnet Silica's We Talk IoT. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating. Talk to you soon.